Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Scared Shitless and another pitch battle. Today we are pitching our versions, or an alternate version of American Psycho 2 because the one we got was not good. I'm Ryan and I am joined by Jamie
Hello.
and Ali.
Hello, guys.
So, guys, I mean, we all three of us agree American Psycho was fantastic.
Yes, 100%.
It probably shouldn't have a sequel, but we got a sequel. Jamie, what did you think of the American Psycho 2 that we got?
It was awful. We used to ridicule a movie on the other podcast called Jiu-Jitsu. It was as bad as Jiu-Jitsu.
Ali, what was your thoughts on American Psycho 2?
Well, as I have come to call it, college obsession, sucks. 100%, Infinity% sucks. If I had a gauntlet, I would go like that and change it.
I think
Ali's full rant on American Psycho 2. You can check out the podcast.
Yes, I think it is by far the lowest rated movie we've covered. Like we all rated it lower. But anyway, because it was so bad, we are pitching our versions. Now, in reality, we're not saying there should be an American Psycho 2, but we have one, and we think we can pitch a better one than what we got. So that's the plan. We're each going to have 5 minutes to put forward our pitch. We will then have an opportunity to question each other on our pitch, and then we will each vote for whose pitch we think was the best. You guys watching at home, throw in the comments whose pitch you preferred, and also put in your pitches. It would be we love to read them. Genuinely do. So yeah. So if you guys are okay with it, I'll just start.
Boom, 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 boom. Go.
I will set the 5-minute timer. Let me get the timer ready because I was not prepared enough.
If only we could use the countdown music.
That would be very good. Unfortunately,
Goddamn copyright law.
Okay, and we are starting now. So my movie is called American Psycho 2, All American Girl, which is the name of the movie we got, and I decided to stick with that and work within those parameters. However, instead of being set in present day college and just being utter shit, I have decided to stick with the original American Psycho concept. So I'm going to stick in 1980s Manhattan and focus on yuppie socialite culture, much like the original did. However, this one will not follow Patrick Bateman. This one will follow a hotel heiress in her 20s. Think psychopathic 1980s Paris Hilton type character. It will have the voiceover, much like the original American Psycho, and unfortunately, like the American Psycho 2 we did get. However, like the original, the voiceover will only focus on things like, actually letting you know about the psycho. So very much like Patrick Bateman in, yuppie culture, socialite culture, she will be obsessed with possessions and money and drugs and fashion and, the best bars and clubs. And, it's all about the exact same, we're putting forward the exact same, things. So it's also going to be a scathing indictment of consumerism, of narcissism, and of the emptiness of yuppie and socialite culture in general. So I want this movie to open at Dorsia. We heard a lot about it in the first one, but we never saw it. So I want this girl and a group of her friends sitting around at Dorsia, when one of them is going to mention that her fiance, Paul Allen, has been missing for weeks, but he may be in London. She's then going to mention that a detective is actually investigating his disappearance, but she doesn't like this detective's haircut, and he should get his haircut at this salon, and the whole conversation is going to devolve into, salons and, this and that, and really nothingness. Scene 2 is then going to take us into a nightclub where our psycho meets a guy. We see her put something into his drink, she drugs him, takes him home, and she suffocates him with a pillow as they're having sex. And that's going to be the first kill in the movie. We then get the third scene, like in the like in the original, and this is the scene where we first get the voiceover, and she's walking us around in her penthouse room of this luxury hotel that she's an heiress to. She'll discuss her wardrobe and her workout routine and her makeup and all this stuff, and she'll tell us just in general how bored she is. Now then, the movie in general, so don't have time to take you through every scene, but the movie in general is kind of going to build about this charity event that's to help the people of Sri Lanka, which again they spoke about in the original American Psycho. And it's the different socialite women are essentially going to be competing for the position of honor to give the speech. As the movie goes, she's going to kill a bunch of people. She's going to kill guys by poisoning them and smothering them. And she's going to kill women who she views as competition in more gory ways, maybe knives and, things like that. And she's also going to kill Willem Dafoe, who is going about questioning Paul Allen and starts to question these other missing people as well. And then the climax of the movie, so to speak, is going to actually take place at this black tie charity event, where she has killed the person who was supposed to be given the speech, and she's taken their place. So she's going to be the one who's actually delivering this speech. But before she does so, she poisons the punch. So I want it to be like her giving this speech where she actually just confesses that she is a psychopath, that she doesn't give a shit about any of these people. And then they all just start vomiting blood. Everyone's just dying around her, violently ill. And she's given this speech to say, I want to do this. Because the amount of times in the original, Patrick Bateman says, I want to kill people, or I want to do this, or I want to do that to other people. Anyway, so the movie ends with, that pretty much it. The police come in and she's on stage and everyone around her is dying or dead. I mean, not everyone, because there'll be some people who didn't drink it, but for the most part, it's, and that's time, unfortunately. Okay, I fit in as much as I could in the time frame.
No, well done. Well done.
I realized time was getting on, so I had to skip a couple of scenes and just kind of summarize the middle of the movie. But I feel I got my opening and my ending in.
From a girl's point of view, I like that. I really like that.
I'm glad, but hold your thoughts until we get to the questioning stage. Okay, we'll each pitch and then we'll discuss our pitches after. So which one of you would like to pitch second?
I'll be generous and give it to Jamie, or unless he wants me to go.
No, I'm good. I'm pretty much ready to go. Got my notes here.
Okay. On you go then, pal.
Do you want me to run the timer for you, or would you like to run your own?
You can run it. It's fine.
Okay. On 3, 2, and go.
So for American Psycho 2, I am going to call it War of the Dawn. And we are going to be going back in time. I'm thinking somewhere between the First and Second World Wars, maybe the late 30s, maybe mid 30s, 37 or something like that. And we're going to be focusing it on this from the mob angle. So there is in Philadelphia a crime family called the Russios. And the Russios have been in power as a mob family for about four decades. So our movie starts with the son of one of the lesser crime syndicates that was brought in to the Russio crime family against their will. And his name was Marco Centeno. But we're not following Marco Centeno, who got pulled into the crime family of the Russios. We're following his son. What did I call his son? These are all just placeholders, actually. So we called his son Flavio Centeno. Now, Marco did not want his son to be involved in the crime underworld whatsoever. and he used his ridiculous wealth to get him into the poshest private school in Philadelphia, which is also where the Don of the Ruscio crime family sent his son. And they both grew up together and ended up in the University of Philadelphia, which is a prestigious university, not the University of Pennsylvania, I should say, which is located in Philadelphia. But that's all preamble, and we find that out during the movie. We start 15 years later, where Flavio Centino is now the head of a massive hedge fund. He managed to manipulate his way to getting all these rich friends. He has a rich father, and they built themselves a massive hedge fund. But while Marco wanted to keep, I've forgotten his name again.
Flavio.
Well, Marco wanted to keep Flavio out of the crime world. Flavio really didn't have the same opinion. He saw how much wealth.
That's halfway, by the way.
He saw how much wealth the crime had brought his family. So he decided to, while he was building his massive hedge fund, he was going to build a crime syndicate alongside that. So while he was building his crime syndicate, he realized that he actually enjoyed enforcing more than anything else. So what his hedge fund friends didn't realize was he was never around at the weekend. He would delegate, and his yuppie hedge fund friends never noticed he was gone because they were all too happy to land the big client, while Marco was scheming against the people who had taken his father's livelihood, the Ruscio family. They had made him part of their organization, and he didn't like that much. So he went around building his organization, meanwhile laundering all the money that he made through his criminal enterprises, through the hedge fund, through subsidiaries, investments, and blah blah blah. Very easy to hide in the 1930s. And he went, he was going around killing people, killing his enemies, and his plan was to take down the Ruscio crime family, which he eventually does by placing his own people inside the Ruscio crime family. Now, one night he goes to an arms deal. Ruscio sends his people to the arms deal also, and they all bust in. What's his name again?
Flavio.
Flavio kills everyone, and his goons kill everyone apart from one, who gets away and tells Don Ruscio that Flavio, and the person who got away was Don Ruscio's son, the one he went to university with. Don Ruscio then kidnaps Flavio's father, Marco, kills him, leaves him outside his building, and Flavio goes on a murder spree of the Ruscio family. And all of his subterfuge comes together. The FBI raids all of Ruscio's properties, but Flavio still has to go and kill the bloodline, and that's pretty much it. Flavio goes and kills them all, and then he goes back to his double life.
Okay. So a very gangster.
So yeah, that was that very gangster take. He was, instead of what was real and what was it, he was running a double life, hedge fund. The yuppies never noticed that he was away actually being a gangster. So that was my take on it.
Okay, Ali.
Okay. Yes.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. I might not fit it all in a minute, in 5 minutes, but I'll certainly give it my
putting a timer on that because I had a lot more to say, but I'm sure you were in the same boat, right?
I was in the exact same boat. Yeah, I mean, I had planned out a lot of scenes in the middle of the movie that I realized I was just not having time to cover. So it was a quick summary of it. It's.
Let us know in the comments if you think the 5-minute timer is a good thing or a bad thing.
Check out our previous episodes on this where we did not have a 5-minute timer. We're trying the 5-minute time limit out for this episode. If it doesn't work, we'll abandon it. If it does work, we will. If you prefer it, we'll continue it throughout. So Ali, I'll do the same as I've done with Jamie. I'll let you know at the halfway mark, and then I'll let you know when you've only got a minute left, and hopefully that will, hopefully that will keep you right-ish. So okay, I will start the timer as soon as you start talking.
So we've got American Psycho 2 International Tour. Now, what that means is I'm going to be thinking inside the box and bringing Christian Bale back as Patrick Bateman, and I'm also going to bring back William Dafoe, because I really like William Dafoe and I really liked his detective character in the original film. So what I mean by international tour, instead of staying in the States, he is going to go around the world. He's done research on how places like the United Kingdom, France, Italy, Russia, China, Australia used to torture and kill folk throughout the centuries. So as he is going around each international city around the world, he more or less does the exact same as what he did from the first film, where he meets people, he takes them back to wherever he has his apartment or flat or house in these cities, and we just get the killing stories. But of course, there's a little subtitle, little sub stories in amongst them. It's not just a basic killing spree, as it were. Now, William Dafoe, he realizes that he was so close to Patrick uncovering the case. We see him getting a bigger part now, and he is following Patrick around the world. As soon as he gets to the UK, he actually meets a young and upcoming detective who, in London, these similar events have been happening, and the young up and comer is actually Tom Hardy. So William Dafoe and Tom Hardy are working together, trying to work out how these crimes are linked from the ones that were going on in New York, what's happening in London. Each time when William Dafoe feels he's getting quite close to Patrick sees that there's another branch elsewhere in the world from his father's company, and he goes around the trip like that. It comes to, I want to say it goes full circle and go back to New York,
halfway.
But I've decided to stay in Sydney, so that's where the closing act is actually going to come. Is we arrive in Sydney. Now, William Dafoe and Tom Hardy have followed Christian Bale all over the world. They've investigated other crimes that he has done and killings, and they get so close in Sydney, and he actually gives them the slip again, and William Dafoe is so couldn't understand how they've missed him, because they have been so close to catching him. And of all places that he ends up in, because he wanted to get out of New York, he's traveled around the world, and he finds that he's more comfortable being back in New York City. So we close with Tom Hardy and William Dafoe trying to catch Christian Bale in Sydney. They just miss his flight that returns him to New York, and we see Christian Bale in his office contemplating his next move. So overall, it has just been an overall international tour of doing it in other countries, so to speak. Obviously, with this time limit, there's obviously little inter scenes in Britain, in the rest of Europe, China, and Australia as such. We meet international actresses as well. I can't think of the top of my head who would be a great British actress to be one of those girls for Christian Bale to kill off, but I'm sure that's not important at the moment. And it's just one of those...
Sophie Turner from Game of Thrones.
No, she'd be a bit young by that point. if it's coming right after American Psycho 1. Yeah, so my overall was just keeping it simple. We're sticking with Patrick Bateman. Christian Bale has returned to the part, and he just
time.
wants to.
Okay,
All right.
I need to say this because it may have driven some people crazy, but I didn't want to interrupt you, Ali. It is Willem Dafoe, not William Dafoe.
Okay, I do apologise.
I knew exactly who you meant, and I'm sure everyone listening did as well. But I just had to point that out because I'm shouting in my head, "Willem, say Willem."
I didn't care.
Well, thank you, Jamie. Thank you.
But anyway,
I do apologise to the YouTubers if I did butcher his name and himself. I do apologise. So
okay, right. Seeing as my pitch was first, if you want, you can ask me any questions, and then we will ask Jamie questions, and we will finish with you, Ali.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Who in your American Psycho 2 is playing your female protagonist? Did you think about that, or?
I know for certain it's not Mila Kunis. But no,
a good start.
I hadn't really put too much thought into the actress. I simply thought someone who can act. And Mila Kunis.
You try to say she cannot act.
I'm saying she could not act in the film we got. So, but
I like Mila Kunis. I just think she just wasn't the right person for that film.
She definitely was not. But I don't know. I honestly didn't put it, and I don't think realistically. I was going to say, like once we got to it, like you're ballsy with your casting, Ali. I'm not sure, like, but anyway, that's yeah. We're still. Any other questions for me then?
No, I don't have any actually. I quite like your pitch. The fact that it's taken from the female's point of view.
Was there a did she do it kind of element to yours? I can't remember.
No, she 100% did it, and unlike the original, I am not making my character suffer from psychosis. So it is very clear that everything that happens does in fact happen. She is a psychopath, but she is not suffering from delusions or anything else. She is straight up killing people out of boredom and anger and jealousy.
And the vomiting, are we doing with practical effects?
100% practical effects. And
yeah.
I want this movie to be graphic.
Excellent.
You know, I do. The only thing I really took from American Psycho 2 that we got was the subtitle, All American Girl, and the idea to actually make a female the psychopath. But then I actually wanted to be much more like the original, and not just in, you know, obviously I've got connections to the original with Willem Dafoe's character returning, with mentions of Paul Allen, with the play, you know, with it taking place in the same city and them using some of the same locations, like, you know, and the same topics and, you know, stuff like that, but also the same themes. I want it to be thematically the same, you know. So yeah. Any other questions?
Okay. No, I liked it. Thought it was a good strong pitch. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay, Jamie. So for Ali, have you got any questions for Jamie?
What made you go the kind of Godfather route, if you don't mind me asking?
I quite liked the idea of it being really different from American Psycho 1. I didn't want there to be any comparison because it's such a good film. Unless you nail every single aspect, making any ties to the original whatsoever is automatically putting you at a disadvantage. So the only thing I took from American Psycho was the psycho element. This guy, he grew up, he's a business person, he was kept out of the family business, but he you know, his father kept him out of the family business, but he was like, fuck that, I'm got to be in the family business. You know, so he's a psycho. That's the only thing I took from American Psycho.
Okay. I was going to say, it's like, I think if you were to go ahead with your pitch, you would probably have to make the names a bit better because you kept getting mixed up on them yourself.
Yeah, I mean,
Flavio and
as I said,
Marco, but
yeah, a lot of these were placeholders. I just picked some,
yeah, pick a random. I
Italian sounding
specifically
names.
didn't
Yeah.
pick a name for my cycle. I just left it, and that was
I
intentional.
actually really like the name Flavio. I don't know why I kept forgetting it, but I thought Flavio Centino was a good name for a gangster.
So your hedge fund, you spoke about it taking place in the 30s. Was that the original story with Marco getting into it in the 30s, or was that Flavio's story taking place in the 30s?
No. So Flavio was grown up at this point. So there's a sort of, there's got to be flashbacks to,
Yeah, like the
Marco,
1920s with Marco.
yeah,
and
with
then
Flavio's childhood, and Marco's his father, so keeping him out of the business and whatever. But the movie starts with Flavio as the big shot, sort of hedge fund dude in Philadelphia.
Okay. Right. So Ali,
Yes.
you got any more questions for Jamie, or shall we move on to
No,
questions?
I'm fine.
Okay. So my question for you then, Ali, is that are you worried that the ending of your movie may be somewhat anticlimactic if it is just Patrick Bateman sitting in his office contemplating what he might do next?
What I'm hoping to try and set up as, now we know during this era, Christian Bale was a very busy person with the Dark Knight trilogy, with the Machinist, and a few other projects. But I think he could probably fit it in there, and I would hope to try and get a trilogy out of this if I could, where he does eventually get caught. That would be in the first chapter. He doesn't get caught. The second chapter, he almost gets caught, but manages to evade the law. And in the third and final climax, he does get caught. So that's where I would eventually aim for.
Okay, so you've pitched the middle film of a trilogy.
I was honestly,
Yeah.
I was assuming based on how it ended that you were planning on a third one.
Yes, I was. Yes, and I just would like to try and please go ahead.
Is Willem Dafoe's character? He's not affiliated with a police department, right? He's a private.
He was not. He was a
investigator.
private investigator. Yeah. He was hired. He was hired by the family of, I believe it was Paul Allen's fiance's family who hired him.
Yes, it was. Yeah,
so
it was our family.
They would actually appear in my movie. I actually, had Paul Allen's fiance as one of the characters in my movie.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
But okay, Ali. So you have Bateman going on tour. So you specifically mentioned London and Sydney. How long in your movie would he spend in each city? And is he going to other cities? Is it just the two?
Yes, he is. Hence why it's called international tour. Think of National Lampoon's European Vacation, where he does actually go to these other cities. But of course, it's not just Europe; it's worldwide. So he's going from New York to London, basically the capital cities of the world. And I know Sydney is not a capital, is not the full capital of Australia, but it's just one of those cities that came to my mind first.
And how long does he spend in each of these cities, like time-wise in your movie? Like, is he there
I
for...
would say, maybe 5-10 minutes per scene, I would say. So he meets whoever he meets and works his charm, gets them into a sense of security, and does whatever he feels he needs to do it. Now, if we're in London, we've got medieval killings and tortures, so he's got he he'll have a fascination for killings of the past. So he decides to bash somebody's head in with an old school medieval mace. You know, that could be. I've not fully worked out on the way that he does the killings, but it certainly opens the door to make them more bloody than the first one.
Okay.
I like that. To open the door for him actually going on this trip, like how are you picture, like, is his dad, like, you know, saying,
Well,
you know,
see,
you're a lazy bastard, you're not doing anything, go inspect all the offices or
no,
whatever?
no. I was originally going to open that he is at a wedding of one of the friends in the group that he's part of, and he has gotten into his mind that he is sick of everybody. He needs out of this world, and he finds out through his father that an international position has came up in the company's international offices, and so he takes that opportunity to go.
Okay. Any other questions for Ali, Jamie?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Ali, whose
like it.
pitch would you?
I've actually fought on this one, Ryan.
Whose pitch would you vote for, and
I,
why?
with all due respect to Jamie, I'm going to use yours, Ryan. I like yours because I want to see it from the girl's point of view.
Okay. Jamie, whose pitch and why?
I think I'm going to vote for Ali's pitch because I like the idea of seeing Christian Bale again and doing some international killings. Sounds pretty cool. I want to see Christian Bale bang someone in the head with an old school mace. You know.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay.
That's good.
This is kind of a tough one for me, because on the one hand, I don't want to see a sequel with Christian Bale because I feel Patrick Bateman's story ended nicely.
Okay.
However, seeing him just going on a killing spree around the world sounds really fun.
That's what got me.
Really fun.
Totally got me.
I mean, I have a feeling like it could be a considerably worse movie than the original, but I have a feeling like it would be really fun to watch. Whereas Jamie, I think your one has the kind of falls into just another gangster film, and I feel it's too disconnected from American Psycho to be American Psycho.
Which is how I wanted it.
Yeah, but I think it's almost like, you know, the same pitfalls as the film we actually got, where it's like you're just slapping the American Psycho name onto a random film, and then you know, and I feel that's actually a downfall for it. Whereas I think yours sounds like it could be a good film, just not a good American Psycho film, if that makes sense. So, Ali, you win this one, mate. 2 votes to 1. And I'm not going to lie, I'm a little gutted.
Good job, Ali. Good job.
Thank you.
Ryan's been dethroned from his winning streak.
I actually put thought into
it shows,
this.
Man. It shows, like, you know, putting some thought, writing some notes. It's good job.
So, okay, guys, thanks for joining us, and let us know in the comments who you think won, and let us know your pitches for what you would do with American Psycho 2. And let us know what you thought about our pitches in general. Any information is good. Click the thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and join us for our next video. We upload every Monday and Thursday. For more content from Jamie and Ali, links to their channels will be in the description, along with descriptions of what they do on their channels. And as always, we will be back for one last scare.